Hey there, this is Jonathan, and in the following set of tutorials, we're going to take a quick look at identity package design and the elements that you have to kind of set up for them. Now, if you do a quick search for examples of identity packages, you're going to find pretty much the same sort of thing. You start looking around at corporate identity packages, and you're going to find more of the same thing. And it basically includes the basic logo that you've designed, a business card, a letterhead, and an envelope. So that's kind of like the old school corporate identity package. But nowadays things are much more complex because we also have all sorts of different elements going on. Number one, we now print in full color a lot more than we ever used to. It was pretty common that we'd have maybe one or two colors for identity packages, and nowadays things are becoming four color, and so you can do all sorts of different things. You also have to be aware of how it might be used on different elements, like we have a couple different versions of the business card, and even within this different version of the business card, we have one logo that's used a stacked version, and the other one which is used as a horizontal version. Then we have a white version that's used on a mug here. We have a full color version with something that's used on an iPad, another version that might be used on an iPhone or some sort of mobile phone. Then we have other ones used where it has just the icon itself or the symbol rather than having the text as well. So there's a lot of variety in what we see. Look at some other ones here. Here's one where it's just the symbol, and then here's one where it's the word mark in white and another word mark in blue. And so there's a lot of variety that you see in nowadays in what is considered an identity package. So it all begins by setting up some sort of standard usage for the logos that you design. And these are some of the basic elements that come into one of these usage guidelines. Number one is a sample of the actual logo that says this is the final logo and this is what it looks like. Typically, it will also have what fonts are being used. This one is using a very, it looks like a very special thing, so they don't actually have to list the font because you can't find this font anywhere. But it's also listing the colors, and it's listing the CMYK version as well as the Pantone color and the hexadecimal. And sometimes you'll also see the RGB numbers as well. It shows you how the logo should or should not be used often, and it also shows you minimum size and the minimum clear space. And clear space is something that exists in the logo that you're using to show is space around the logo that nothing else interferes with. So here's a little bit more going on with the Plone logo use guidelines. They have what they call the device, the word mark, I might call it a symbol, and then they have the trademark, and they have a stacked version of the logo and a horizontal version of the logo. And here you can see the X spacing or clear space that's around it as well. Here they have some different versions of the logo, and they even have a version of the icon by itself, or the symbol by itself, with showing what the clear space would be. Then they have some proper uses of the logo and improper uses of the logo. If we take a look at Twitter, you'll see the same exact thing. We go up and we see the different formats of the Twitter, and we can even download our EPSs or PNGs. We have what is the safety space or clear space, improper use of the logo, the colors that appear, and you can see here they've used the RGB numbers as well as the hex. Since this is primarily a web-based company, they're probably not going to have Pantone colors. But who knows? Maybe they'll need it for their print stuff. Now they actually have their typography that they're using, as well as some other things about how to use it properly or improperly in their work. Joomla has the same sort of stuff. Look at all the different versions of their logos. It's crazy. Now, one of the things that I really think is important here is taking a look at a full black version and a full white version. I personally think that that is a very important thing for you to have in your identity package. In fact, we even have one with just the symbol in black and white and the symbol black and white reversed. So pretty important there. Now, the Fedora has tons of logos, lots of different combinations here, and you can see the same sort of thing, dark backgrounds, grayscale, and everything. Adobe, of course, is one of the masters at this, and so if you take a look at their corporate brand guidelines, I mean, it's just crazy how much detail is in here. And they have different logos used for different things, which I think is very, very important. But it's a great document to take a look at because it's very well organized and it's a really beautiful one. And one of the things I really like about it is showing samples of how you would use the logo in collateral. That's advertisements or other brochures or things like that, and which is the right logo to use for which collateral. So that's where this particular logo usage guidelines gets a little bit more intense. Anyway, I actually found a logo for Ubuntu, and this is a logo that I found at a place that you can just download logos online. And I thought, well, maybe we'll turn this into our logo usage guidelines. And it just so happens that they actually have a brand new logo. So I'm not interfering with what they have right now, but we can kind of get an idea of what their brand standards are currently with their new logo, which I think is kind of cool. And you'll notice that they've kept their circle of friends, because one of the things that's so important about this is that anytime you've created a symbol and people identify your business with that symbol, and this happens to be people around a circle, it really means something to that business to keep that going. They've actually changed the word mark and they've taken off the Linux, as you can see in the new version. But they've kept that circle of friends symbol, which I think is a really interesting thing to note. Now, another thing I wanted to point out is that, when it comes to the sizes that we make things, we also have to be aware of all the different uses that we might have. Now, we're going to kind of guesstimate what our sizes should be because we're going to use the sizes that I basically downloaded the logo at. But we might want to be aware of the sizes that exist for something like Facebook pages or the profile picture. If I wanted to prepare this properly for Facebook, then I would want to make sure that I check the sizes. And this says I have to have a 180 pixel by 180 pixel square image if I want that to be the profile picture. And that would be appropriate to have, maybe with this Ubuntu, just the Circle of Friends version of the logo, not the actual written out version of it. So anyway, go ahead and explore what's out there for corporate identity packages and just look at the variety that's there, and you'll find that it's really amazing. But what you're really looking for is some way that they've consistently used the logo and other graphic elements in a branding package. And it doesn't mean that they use the exact same logo, because here you can see we have two basic logos. We have the full color logo, and then we have the white version of the logo. And you'll often find this between different collateral, different types of projects. And it's very important to be aware of those different elements and make sure that you have logos for all of those different uses. So let's go on to the next tutorial, and we're going to actually make some of these logos with the Ubuntu logo.